All right, Camir.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
I am ready.
See, Olivia said finally.
I am ready. Fast, too fast. That's the issue.
All right. So, in the meantime, guys, I know you've all had questions for Camir, and he's finally on. We finally have him in the hot seat. So go ahead and share your questions in the comments in the question section, so that we'll be able to go through them together in this fine hour. So let's start from the beginning. What was it that inspired you? Like I hear this in the interviews all the time.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna share this since we've never heard it.
Yeah.
What inspired Minds of Jamaica?
Minds of Jamaica, yeah. So I think so just to give some context, I am finishing up my PhD here in the US. I live in New York City, grew up in Montego Bay, and ever since leaving Jamaica for undergraduate studies, I've always tried to figure out how to like give back, right? In what ways can I help people back home and all that. So long story short, I'm in graduate school. I've been constantly looking for ways to give back, and in 2018 I had the opportunity when I was coming home for Christmas. I think I was coming home for Christmas, or I might have been coming home to collect an award. I can't remember why I had to come home, but I had the opportunity to speak at my old high school. Shout out Computational, right? I spoke to some sixth formers there, and then I also on that same trip I was asked to give a talk on my research to the computer science department at UWI, Mona, right? So it was during those discussions, I think at Compre, after I spoke to the sixth former just kind of about my journey, and then after I maybe speak for 45 minutes to an hour, and then afterwards I had to stay at an extra hour and a half just answering questions, right? And it was crazy to me that I had so many students lining up, asking me questions about, hey, I want to study abroad, any advice? I'm interested in music, and I'm also interested in neuroscience. Like, how do I figure that out? Because a lot of students kind of connected to my story of like trying to figure out if I wanted to do sciences or like programming and computer science, and how I found a way to combine them, right? So just answering a lot of those questions, I realized that so many students had a ton of these questions, but didn't have really great ways to answer them, right? They didn't have many avenues to go through to figure out how to answer those questions. And when I spoke at UWI, it was the same kind of situation where I spoke for maybe an hour, and I stayed an extra hour and a half just answering questions about or giving advice. And to be honest, a lot of the questions I didn't know the answer to. Like somebody asking me, how best can I combine music and neuroscience? I'm in cancer research. That's not necessarily my area. So I try my best, but I just walked away from those interactions thinking, okay, if there was a way, what kind of, how can I help those students, right? If I don't have the answers, the obvious thing would be for me to reach out to my network or try to find people who have the answers. So I was just thinking, okay, can we do that? Can we formalize that kind of approach and help more students to get answers to their questions by me finding people who know more about that particular area than I do? So somebody interested in mechanical engineering, that's not my thing. So how can I get someone? And that's kind of where Minds of Jamaica started to come about. And it was also interesting too, because I had one student, one sixth form student, she really wanted to like experience what it was like to work in a lab, right? And that was huge for me. Like in college, I got to, volunteer in a lab and do research and so on. And she was in Montego Bay. She was at Herbert Marcy. Most of the labs in terms that do research is in Kingston. So you start realizing just geographically, there's this disparity where, students in Kingston, if they potentially want to like do a summer volunteer experience in like science lab, it's easier for them versus students in Mobile, Westmoreland, and so and then so I was trying to use my connections to help her get a position. So I emailed out professors I know, and it took me forever to get back. So I was like, if it took me so long to get answers from these people, can you imagine students trying to, all they want is a chance to really experience these areas. So a lot of those things came together. I was like, okay, let's see if we can go ahead and put something together where we already find the people with the answers, put them in one place, and all we're saying to students is, hey, use this platform, use this resource to answer those questions, right? We did the hard part, the awkward part where you're messaging somebody on LinkedIn and so on, and you don't know if they care and want to answer. Because I know, as a student, it's so nerve-wracking emailing people that don't know you, because you don't know if you're going to come off as a bother, they're just going to ignore you, and so on. So I was like, with Minds of Jamaica, let's create a space where I have already done the hard work of finding people who are interested in talking to you. And all you have to do is show up with your questions and get them answered, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to build. And that's where the idea for Minds of Jamaica started. And since then, it's kind of grown into a lot of different areas that, you know, we can get into further on. But yeah.
Right. Well, I love that. I love that we create access for persons who probably would be too shy to just reach out. Honestly, I'm not going to reach out via social media. I think it's inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy that we've created this space so that persons who need it can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
All right, so there are lots of questions coming in. First, I want to big up Westmoreland because somebody said Westmoreland stand up.
Yeah, yeah. My mother is from Westmoreland. My mother is from Westmoreland.
Yeah. And same person said NY stand up. All right, so even big up everybody. All right, sir,
Mm-hmm.
big up everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first question is, how do you balance passion with practicality? Because passion sadly doesn't pay the bills, and I get that. So first one, love that.
Yeah, and I think I've always struggled with that. So ever since I was in, you know, school, high school, and the advice I always get is, oh, you know, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, or find a passion and do that as a career and so on. And for some people, they're lucky enough where they find something, love it, knows it, and go on. That wasn't me, right? Like a ton of people ask me, oh, do you love science? Do you love cancer research? Do you love whatever? And so on. I was good at it. I found it interesting enough, and to pursue it to a higher, to you know, higher degrees and you know, pursue that career. But it wasn't something that I know for sure was my passion. I just knew I was interested in that area, and it's something that could like hold my interest. It was difficult enough, that kind of stuff. And I think what we, at least how I approach that, is I normally don't stop my own path because I'm worried that it's not my passion, right? Meaning, if you find something that can capture you, you know, capture your intellect, and it's something that you can excel at, even if you can't answer that question, is it my passion? Is it not? Pursue it, because a lot of the skills that you learn along that way, along that journey, prepare you for when that passion show up out of nowhere. So something like Minds of Jamaica is not anything I would have ever guessed I would be doing, and I absolutely love it. I was telling somebody, it's the first time trying to build Minds of Jamaica is the first time I've felt like I understand that whole thing about, oh, do something you love and you never work a day in your life. If I in high school if I were to not commit to studying the sciences and do that because I wasn't sure it's my passion or not, and just hold myself hostage, you know, stuck in that space because I can't decide and so on, I would not have been prepared to execute Minds of Jamaica the way I am, because a lot of the skills I've developed, a lot of the network I've developed over this, you know, these years of study and meeting people or so on, has prepared me for when that idea pop in my head and it's something that I'm so firm in executing and know I want to do. I was prepared. So I think a lot of times, you know, we think so much about the passion and trying to decide it's not passion. Sometimes, you know, I stumble upon the idea for Minds of Jamaica, or present itself to me, whatever you want to call it, when I was what, 26 or so, and that was my first time ever feeling like I found something that I can call a passion, right? So it presents at different times for different people, and we often look at people and we will be like, well, them find what them love. Why, you know, we in this internal struggle. So I would say it's great if you can find it early, but you know, find something that is practical, pursue it to the best of your ability, and just kind of let life play out as it will. Your passion will reveal itself, and as you pursue those areas, you learn a lot more about yourself. So you pursue something to a point, and then you realize, well, I only liked it to that point. That's the point at which I stopped enjoying it and know it is something I no longer enjoy. And then hopefully over those years you stumble across something else that allows you to pivot in a different area, right? Like the reality is we never know how things are going to play out. So we have to just kind of keep pushing as we go. But that was my process with the whole passion versus practicality type of thing.
Right, I love that answer. Thank you. All right, so many questions. I am not able to go in order, so I'm just gonna go with the last one that came in. Amoy says, how do you balance or prioritize all of the various projects? So
Yeah, and I'm involved in a ton of stuff. I think in terms of prioritize and balance, that's a never-ending process. So I wouldn't say I'm an expert and I'm just so much better at time management than anybody. But over the years, I've been able to shave off things that I really don't care for. And if I'm going to focus on a ton of stuff, it's a ton of stuff that I really want to do, right? It's not nothing where me kind of, kind of interested in just sign up for it because it might look good on my resume and all that kind of stuff. Like all those, that phase is over, and I'm not doing those kind of things. So, once that is there and that willingness to actually put in the effort for those different things, then a lot of it comes down to building a schedule. I find a lot of people do not rely on their calendar enough. A lot of people don't take scheduling seriously enough. I've had so many situations where I tell people, hey, if you want to talk, we'll meet at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. And then Wednesday show up, I'm in the Zoom lobby and they're not there. And then the messages say them forget and so on. And I think, of course things happen. But I think culturally, we don't have a culture of taking it serious that we should show up on time. And we build this habit of thinking, well, it's whatever, me just message them, send me a run late or whatever. At least professionally, you might run those things with with your friends and so on, and you shouldn't. But at the end of the day, when it comes to professional business, things that you're trying to accomplish, scheduling and making sure you have things set up in a way where you know what you're doing at each part of the day, that's super helpful in terms of accomplishing anything. And then there's, some weeks I'm bad at it. So some weeks I don't schedule out things how I should, and then I feel it. At the end of the week, there are things I didn't get to do. I have to stay up late.
Exhausted.
So on and so forth. So I think that's something, it's not something new. It's nothing that, everybody knows that they're supposed to schedule, they're supposed to use the calendar, but not everybody do it. So at every opportunity, I'll remind people, use the calendar. Even hanging out with friends. If I'm going to have dinner with a friend, it's in my calendar. And some people they might take it away. Oh, you have to schedule me. That's where we are in the friendships. But that me putting you on the calendar means that I really want to be there.
Right. And I respect your time and I don't want to forget.
Yeah. So I think that is key. It's something simple, but it's just something that is habit building. You just continuously try your best to schedule things. And when you say you're going to do something, put in your calendar right away. Because again, the other thing is that we'll be like, well, I'll add it to my calendar tomorrow. You wake up tomorrow, that's gone. That is out of your head. So there these tiny things, and I've developed them over time where, as best as I can, in the moment when we agree on a time for a meeting, when we agree on a time to do something, when we agree on a date, at that exact same time, I put in my calendar. If I know your email, I send you an email calendar invite so you can add it to your calendar and keep pushing, and that helps a ton. Outside of that, it is helpful to have a good support structure, because I have friends who will check in on me because they know I'm always up to a lot of stuff, and they'll force me to take breaks, force me to think about my mental health, because I'm fortunate that considering that is not something that I have always prioritized. So I have friends who they'll call me, let me sit down, write a list of I'm going to drink how many ounces of water today, I'm going to take a walk at least 30 minutes every day, and that is super helpful. Of course, in the moment I'm like, oh God, why you doing this and so on, but I appreciate those things because it's important, right? And sometimes you take a step away from what you're doing, and that you come back refreshed, you come back energized. And so especially in these times, those breaks are useful. So having people around you that know what you're going through, know what you're trying to accomplish, and they do their best to help support you and help uplift you and help out where you can, that helps you accomplish all the projects. Because all the projects I'm doing, none of them I'm doing on my own. Minds of Jamaica is a ton of people make Minds of Jamaica happen. My PhD, there's a ton of people in my lab that help me do anything. Other side projects that I have doing, there are a ton of people involved in those as well. So none of these things are things that I'm able to do on my own, right? So having people can rely on and help, and when I fall short, I can shoot a message to Shanae, shoot a message to Amoy, shoot a message here, and be like, hey, sort out this, Shari, help me with this. So all those things are super helpful in trying to accomplish your goal. So, you know, get a good network and support system around you.
Love that. All right, so while you're on that, I just want to shout out all our minds. Like, I just want to commend you on choosing such an awesome and dynamic team. Like, I can honestly say we have a good combination.
Yeah, people, and you know, I know we're in our infancy because I feel like a lot of students, a lot of professionals haven't yet begun to like plug into what we're doing yet. But the fact that we have 34 people across, you know, also, you know, in law, radiology, chemists, like all these different areas, poets, authors, musicians, and these are all people who, by mere fact of them being a Minds Jamaica, is people saying, hey, I'm busy, I'm trying to accomplish my goals, but I'm going to take the time out and make myself available to answer a question from a sixth former at St. George, you know, a high schooler from here, a UE student, a UTech student who is curious about music, is curious about getting into law or engineering and so on. And I think that is such an amazing thing to have people, you know, offer up themselves in that way, right? And it's been great seeing people kind of rally around My Jamaica, especially the grander vision, because you know there's so much to come.
Right. And I can't wait for everybody to see the plans that we have. But guys, just stay tuned, yeah. All right, so many questions, Cam. I'm just trying to get through them as quickly as possible. So Olivia is asking, have you been in a situation where you plan and do everything right, but still end up failing?
Oh yeah.
And what do you do in that situation?
Oh yeah, all the time. Failing is a part of you know, is an integral component to learning, and you learn a lot. I had plans where I knew exactly, okay, I'm going to, even going from high school to university, right? I was always doing well in high school up to a point where, you know, everybody called it bright, and at some point you start believe the hype, right? So me just assume that by default, even though I was going to sixth form during the day, I was doing associate degree classes in IT at night, and then also taking SAT classes. In my mind, it's just a foregone conclusion. So we go SATs, we go get a big bossy scholarship, go foreign and study, right? And it didn't quite work out that way. I ended up getting a regular, you know, nothing to write home about SAT grade. I missed a few deadlines because I was so, you know, that was a time where I might have overextended myself.
Listen, let's talk about overextend and you, right?
So I missed deadlines for some schools. I didn't apply, so I ended up applying to one school in the US. Didn't get a scholarship and so on. And that was a big hit because, you know, you try to be humble, but enough people call you bright in the high school, eventually you kind of believe it. So it was a time where you're like, oh shoot, you know, you can't just automatically, you know, you still have to work for anything. And that was something that, you know, kind of allowed me to regroup. And in the case of any failure, a lot of times just an opportunity to kind of reflect and be like, okay, what led to this? Was it something that I could have done better? Was it a situation where, you know, sometimes the opportunity is just not for you, right? Depending on what the case is. And you always have to just regroup and try again. Either you pivot something else or try again for that same thing, depending on what the situation is. So, you know, for the study abroad, you know, example that I was describing, that was a case where I was like, okay, I know what I'm capable of doing. Feel like I didn't put my best foot forward. I begged my parents and be like, all right, foot the bill, send me over there, and I will make sure that you don't have to pay for the rest of my you know, studies, right? So I ended up coming to the US, no scholarship or anything. I didn't even know they had honors programs or anything like that. And then when I started college, you know, mash up exams and mash up, you know, do well and end up earning a full ride the rest of the way, right? So sometimes it requires you just stepping back and making sure you put your best foot forward the next opportunity you get.
All right, I love that, and I hope that was able to answer your question, Olivia. All right, so I love that too, and I see persons also commenting that. I see Michael too saying, if you want to your nose up a run, I'm sure a lot of persons know that you went to 2 schools at once, but they just learned something new about you. All right, so the next question is from Olivia again. She says, is there any more passion projects or startup business in the making?
Always. I think Minds Of, at the end of the day, Minds Of is about democratizing access. If you boil it down to what I really care about, is democratizing access, and that will lead us in multiple areas. The era of career mentorship is the first application, the first era in which we're trying to do something different and build something and prove to ourselves that we can solve a problem, right? Like, it don't make sense I try to solve a million problems without proving that I can solve one, or at least give it a good shot. So I think we'll be going into as we progress over time, we'll step into different arenas, and there are different ideas I have. But when you're starting out, especially for somebody who is, there are lots of stuff going on, it is very important to narrow your scope as much as possible, right? So in the case of Minds of Jamaica and what we're trying to do, we do career mentorship. And anytime you're building something, there are going to be a ton of people who are going to come with their own idea of what they think your idea should be. You know what I mean? So, and especially with us operating male in Jamaica right now, the whole idea of mentorship has for so long been kind of behavioral intervention type of mentorship, right? So a young man or a woman have behavioral problems, they get them a mentor to kind of, keep them away from gangs, put them back on the right track. And that is a form of mentorship. But we're specifically targeting career mentorship, and that's something in the beginning that we put in stone, that's in our mission statement and all that. So over we've only been a little bit over a year now, but there have been a ton of people who have approached us with opportunities that would have led that they want us to go more into the traditional view of mentorship, because in Jamaica that's what mentorship is in Jamaica. And I have had to turn away those opportunities because that's not what we do, right? Like, we focus on career mentorship. So it is important to at least keep your goal, keep the main thing, and use that to kind of guide you as you progress through a lot of these, passion projects or things that you hope to become a startup business or something, much bigger than yourself. Is narrow the scope as much as possible. What do you have to do to accomplish that specific goal or niche, and make sure at each decision you're inching closer to that and not being led astray, right?
All right, I love that. Olivia, you have to stay tuned to see what we have, because it comes in stages and we have to build it out in stages. So stay tuned, sis. All right, so Sasheen asks, what has been the hardest part of this pandemic for you?
The hardest part of the pandemic, not being able to interact with a lot of my peers, friends, and so as I'm used to, not being able to come home. Like, normally I've been in New York since January now, and this would be the longest I've gone longest I've gone without coming home, right? And that, coming to Jamaica has always been, one of my resets. I come home, be around my friends, my family, and then I come back and continue the work. So that has definitely been tough. I have gone, especially when we're in serious lockdown, because I'm in New York, right? And I would go, and because a lot of my work is on the computer, so it's easy for me to wake up, come sit down around the computer, hold a fresh at least, come sit around the computer. Because I know people will say, you get but come sit around the computer, and then by the time you look up, it's 7 p.m. right? And then that will happen 3 days in a row, and before I realize, I've gone 4 days without going outside. And then on the fourth day, I'll notice a substantial change in my mood, in just kind of how I'm feeling, and so on. So, things like that, it was very difficult during the pandemic, especially during the lockdown, was just remembering to go outside, interact with people. And so, because even though I am a computational biologist, a lot of my work is on the computer and so on. But I am not the person who is happy, just put me in a closet and let me, program, let me code, let me do my research on the computer, away from people. I'm not that person. I'm very much a person who enjoys being around people, talking to people, and having that kind of energy removed from my day-to-day was tough, for sure.
Understandably so. Sasheen, I hope that was able to answer your question. Okay, so this one is from, can't say the name anymore. So it says, since Cornell is in the Ivy League, what did what did it take for you as an international student to get in? Oh, that's a lovely question.
What did it take for me to get in? I went to University of Georgia first, which was my undergraduate school, which is a state public school, a big public school in Georgia. And Cornell was really, I wasn't somebody who was caught up too much in the Ivy League thing. I was just more looking for places because I knew I wanted to do my PhD somewhere that had amazing faculty in cancer research and opportunities, and do computational biology, which computational biology and bioinformatics is not. It is getting more and more popular as the years go by, but even when I was looking around, there are a ton of schools that didn't have it as an undergraduate major. A lot of schools didn't have it as a dedicated graduate department. So Cornell was one of the few schools that really offered me the opportunity to be among amazing cancer research faculty, because it was like Weill Cornell Medicine, Memorial Sloan Kettering, Rockefeller Center, and I had my pick of those faculty. And so there's nothing I did that was specific to Cornell. Like, I didn't know, oh, during undergrad, I want to get to Cornell, so I'm going to make these steps and prepare myself and let me look good for Ivy League school. At every stage, I just do as much as I can to better myself, right? Like, I don't know what opportunities are going to come to me in the future, but right here, right now, what are decisions I can do to better prepare myself? So one of those things in undergrad was to participate and use my summers to do undergraduate research, right? And that was huge for me, because over those years, I was able to publish a paper, which is not something a lot of undergraduate students are able to do. So by the time I was finished with undergrad, I had the option to skip my master's, so I didn't have to go pay money to do a master's, because I already knew I wanted to do a PhD, because I did a lot of those things. And then and because I had published and I have a lot of research experience, of course, my GPA was good, and I did the GREs and all those things. That made me an attractive candidate for a school like Cornell, right? The one thing I'll remind people is that even in applying to schools and graduate programs, you're being evaluated by humans. And the reality is, a school like Cornell can accept me, and then a school, I'm not going to name no name, but say a school that you don't view in the Ivy Leagues, with the same application, them can reject me. And I've seen it multiple times, where a bridging of mine get into Harvard, but like a public school, a state public school, reject them from the program. And so you can't put too much stock in oh, this is the thing that's going to make me universally appealable. You have to just at each stage do as much as you can to make yourself stand out, to really learn and explore your interests, so that you can speak about them intelligibly in any interview or any setting, right? And that's the thing that I think people don't appreciate, like how much of the evaluation process or how much of you is outside of the classroom, right? It's not all about the grades. Of course, it's very important, but you have to spend time outside of that to grow as a person, learn yourself, learn your interests. And so, because a lot of times that will help you. For example, when I was interviewing for my undergraduate scholarship, the one that paid for my undergraduate and gave me a lot of opportunities, I had great grades and all of that. But after the whole interview process, I remember the scholarship coordinator letting me know that it was one moment in the interview that made me get the scholarship. One moment. And she was explaining to me, because at that stage, everybody more or less, everybody have good grades and so on. So you have to have different things. And it was in the interview, one of the interviewers, they had an Indian friend, and he was saying his Indian friend was telling about LBW in cricket, and he didn't know what that was. So it was asked, because he saw that I put cricket club on my resume, because I joined the cricket club at Herbert Marcel. But that's nothing, that at the bottom of my resume is nothing I think will have any effect on anything. And the man asked me about that, and I was trying to explain the true words. Didn't seem like it was coming across. So I asked the interviewer to get up. I bring him around the table, and I put him in the cricket stance, and I'm trying to explain to him what LBW is. And that's the moment they said, that's what got me the scholarship. And that for me just blew my mind. I was like, how I spent so much time studying hard, working, and you mean to me say the one little cricket thing is what make it good? Yeah, man. Make a pay for him university studies. You can't imagine. So you realize all those little experiences that you get to do when you're in high school and university, all those little things, come together to make you, and at any moment in time, that can be the thing that set you apart, and you just never know, right? So you have to really appreciate each one of those. Don't shortchange yourself, because I'll never forget that, because I was like, I can't serious. It can't serious at all. But yeah.
I can bet you walk around thinking about that for a week.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this curveball in there because it is something that I think we're passionate about, but I'm gonna leave you to answer it. So Mikey T Speaks says, how do we get Jamaican government to understand that the country is bigger than Kingston and St. Andrew? There are 12 other parishes that need access as well.
Yeah.
Speak on that, please.
Yeah, and that's tough. And I mean, honestly, I'm not somebody who is super involved in government affairs and politics and keeping up everything. That's just not where I go. Like I try my best. Any problem I see, I try my best within my own power, attempt to solve it, right? So I honestly don't have a good answer for like how do we get government to recognize that one answer might be vote for people you feel like represent and all those cliché stuff, but I honestly don't know, and that's why a lot of what I do is just me taking up on myself. Like if through my efforts I can tackle those problems, sure, of course there's a ceiling because there's certain things you need government help to really push and so on. So when that time comes, I'll explore. But I honestly try and think of like what to do, because I don't think it's an issue. Like they know it's an issue. They know it's an issue.
Right.
And so I don't know enough about what goes into these decisions, why we don't see investment. Like imagine it took something like the pandemic, like coronavirus, for a lot of areas to start getting like service, like not even broadband internet, but like you know what I mean. And
right.
That's the kind of stuff that baffles you, where you really take these world-shattering pandemics and changes, and the disparity that you knew already existed. You needed to grow so large where you cannot ignore it anymore for you to now start addressing it, right? And that's some of the stuff that I just have no words. So what I do, because I know is an issue, is that whatever thing I'm trying to do or trying to build, I keep that in mind, right? So one big thing with Minds Jamaica is that I didn't want to create a mentorship organization where we house in a particular school. So we're the Herbert Marson mentorship program, and you have to be part of Herbert Marson, or we're the KC or the JC or those traditional schools kind of mentorship program. I also didn't want to create something where you had to fill out one long application to get plugged in, right? A lot of what I'm trying to do is lower the barrier to entry and things that I am doing, because I believe there's so much energy being exerted by people to make their program, institution, or so on look so elite and prestigious, so that they make the application super hard. You have to have X GPA and so on. And I feel like if we just randomly gave opportunities to people, just randomly, not even know them, randomly, a lot of people you never, on paper don't look like they would excel. They would excel, right? So we Minds Jamaica, like we're creating this platform now, and especially once we launch, we have a new platform coming, guys. We have a new platform coming. It's going to be real nice, real easy to use. But with that, for you to engage with Minds or so on, you just register. There's no need for you to write me 5 essays about why mentorship is valuable and what you hope to do with mentorship in the future and how many eggs it takes to make a you know what I mean? Like these long things. Just sign up. Tell me why you want to do it, what you're interested in, and let's go. Right? And that's what's important to me. We have a science training program right now through Minds Jamaica and on our partner Millard, where we take students through a week-long exercise where they actually do the kind of stuff that I do in the lab. Like they actually do that. They're analyzing COVID patient DNA. They're analyzing cancer patient DNA. They're analyzing all these things, and they're experiencing what I do in a week, right? High school, university, right? It's an amazing thing. I'm so happy to be able to like bring that to Jamaican students, right? They're able to do bioinformatics, genomics, data analysis from high school, and even though they might not get everything, they're exposed to that area. Because I know I wasn't exposed to that when I was in Jamaica, right? So this was a big part of why I created Minds of Jamaica, to connect people with those opportunities. And for something that is like that program, like in the program, they have an AI mentor. So one of the mentors is a AI bot that guides them through some of the things and answer their command. Something really cool. Like, it's all really cool, really fancy, right? I could easily have made the application for that be some long thing about why science matters to you one way. In the application form, all we ask for is, hey, have you ever taken biology? Do you know anything about programming? And why are you interested in doing this, right? Because at the end of the day, you writing these long episodes, me go have to read them. I mean, you know, or whoever is on the evaluation committee, and it's just not that I personally don't think it is that useful or that predictive of how well you'll do in a particular thing. So a lot of what I'm trying to do with Minds of Jamaica, as much as I can, is lower the barrier to entry and just give people an opportunity without having them go through 1,000,001 you know, loopholes, or they have to be a part of a certain, you know, school and so on. Because again, that is why we have this issue, is that, you know, we have all of the, again, back to the science lab thing, you know, the U is the UTEX, all in Kingston. So a student in Trelawney, in St. Catherine, or in St. Catherine, a little bit easier, but St. Elizabeth or so on, if they want to get that volunteer experience in a lab, it's just hard, like geographically. So that's why the science program is virtual. Like you just need a computer and time, you know, and an internet connection. And I didn't want, you know, I want that to be something that wherever you are in Jamaica, we can plug you in to that opportunity. And that's really what I'm trying to do. You know, we don't always, I might not always get it right, but that's what we're striving towards and trying to accomplish with a lot of the stuff we do, is just lowering that barrier to entry.
All right, love that. All right, so Mikey, I think it's Mikey Arid. Just tell the person, whoever it is that wants to get access, to just go to the mindsof.com, sign up, and the opportunities are there. They want to get access, we're trying to create that for them. All right, so next question. How do you keep, oh my God, I love this, Rochelle. How do you keep yourself from being overwhelmed by all the things that you are doing and all that you want to do?
You keep yourself from being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I try my best to, you know, break things down in steps and manageable tasks. Like, you know, this week I just need to do X, Y, and Z to accomplish this overall goal, right? And move myself in that direction. But I have to constantly remind myself that how it looked to me, like I'm the only person that know what it should look like. Because I think a lot of the pressure, a lot of being overwhelmed, it comes from an internal feeling of like you're not accomplishing the goal that you set out for yourself, and you are, you know, you're missing the mark, right? And that's why you feel overwhelmed, because you feel like you're not accomplishing all these things, nothing is going the way you want it to, and so on. And a lot of times you just take somebody on the outside to really see what you're doing. Like there's so much about Minds of Jamaica and stuff where I got frustrated because it's not exactly what I want to do, and I get stressed because I feel like it just not coming together how it is. And then, you know, every now and again I get one person come be like, yo, can't believe you're doing this, or you guys are doing this, and then, you know, you sit back and take stock and you're like, oh, actually I accomplished a ton of stuff along the way, but we're always striving to the next goal, that we don't allow ourselves like any form of time to like appreciate what's being done. So a lot of times is as best as you can take a step back and just try and look at it from outside perspective of what is, and appreciate the journey, appreciate the little things, because that's really what it is for me. Because this feeling of being overwhelmed and so on, like I get worse mad because you know, I get really upset because when I feel overwhelmed, there's nobody to blame but myself. Nobody asked me to do a lot of these things. I took them from my head. So when I get mad, I can't even point to a boss, you know, a lot of the times, especially when it comes to Minds of Jamaica or so on, to be like, why they make me do this? And so on. Especially when, you know, you're trying to build something. It's you. But you know why you took it on. and sometimes, you know, sometimes it takes somebody else to just, you know, somebody outside to kind of, you know, at least give you some context, give you some perspective, help you see help you see what is going on, and then go again. But again, these are all things that is there's no solution. I don't think I've solved the issue of being overwhelmed. It's just you come up with coping mechanisms or things, you know. Maybe there's a particular friend that you call and just, you know, vent to, her, you know, so we can't bother with this, no, do it, and your friend be like, all right, relax, it's just being dramatic, you know. It's the 5th of the month. That's normally when you get overwhelmed by everything. So, you know, take a breather and go again. But yeah, you have to just find what works for you, and a lot of it is just about perspective, right? And you know, Minds of Jamaica has allowed me to Minds of Jamaica allowed me to meet a lot of students, because after a while, before Minds of Jamaica, I didn't know a lot of like high school students anymore, or like early university students. So I forgot what it was like. And through Minds of Jamaica, I've met a lot of students, and the way everything, a stress, every exam, every committee, what I'm applying for, everything, I just stress the students. I was like, yo, that's really how it is. And you know, when you're on the other side of it, you realize so much of it. It's not that it don't matter, but there's no need to really put so much pressure on yourself about it. But when you're in it, it's just hard as a student to not be like that. And as much as old heads like me are going to tell you, oh, actually, it don't matter if you stress yourself so much about these things, you're going to stress about it. So at the end of the day is finding, you know, coping mechanisms to push you on. A lot of it again come back to support structure, support system. There's always hopefully somebody in the network, yeah, that can help you just breathe a little bit, give you a distraction, and you go again.
And I want to just end on that. The network part that you just brought up. Guys, network. Let's talk about networking. Like, how has networking made Minds of Jamaica a reality for you, and even your other projects that you're working on?
Networking is one of my favorite things now. And I remember as a student, I used to hear about it, because I didn't really understand what it is like. I think we love to have tangible things that we can just see, grasp, and get it. But networking really over the years has allowed me to have strong relationships with people with a variety of skill sets. And that comes especially in handy when you are trying to accomplish, especially in handy when you're trying to accomplish anything, right? So with Minds of Jamaica, are you hearing me? It is loading on my end. You hearing me?
I am.
Okay.
I'm hearing you just fine.
Okay, yeah. So with that, when I started Minds of Jamaica, there are a ton of stuff I didn't know about marketing, you know, designing logos, you know, registering companies or anything like that. I didn't know about any of that. Where did I look to get that information? Was my network. You know, Shani, you're one of the people I spoke to about, you know, registering and what that looks like. We had so many conversations about it. When it comes to design and so on, I had somebody in my network who was into, you know, designing and graphic design and so on, and I could plug into them and so on. Especially when I start out, I, you know, have a ton of money to throw around. You know, I can't go and hire, you know, a marketing professional, and I can't go and hire a whole team of this and that, right? So you rely on people in the network to at least get you started, right? And networking is such a valuable thing, where so many other opportunities I've been able to receive over the years is through my mentors and through my network, right? I think we are taught sometimes that, oh, you know, life is a meritocracy, and all you do is just put your head down, do good in a school, and opportunities will come your way. When in reality it is not so, right? It is about people being there in your corner, putting stuff on your radar, letting you know what opportunities exist. And I think and that's been super helpful in kind of building up Minds of Jamaica. A lot of people, when we became a part of the Clinton Foundation university cohort in our first year, that was because somebody in my network let me know that that was an opportunity that exists for Minds of, you know, for somebody trying to do something like Minds of. Right. So that's how networking has helped a ton over our first years, and continues to be a huge help. It's just, you know, there are people I can go to, because there's so much stuff I don't know, and I didn't know how little I knew about doing stuff like this until I tried to do it. I you know what I mean? So that's where, and that's what we're trying to at least expose students too, because the whole process of getting a mentor and maintaining a relationship with a mentor, that helps you network. That teaches you how to keep connections. That how to maintain communication with somebody. That teaches you all these soft skills that then end up benefiting you in interviews and all those kind of things, you know.
I love that. So, and that too is one of our core values with Minds of Jamaica. Like, we just want to make sure that you're connected with people who can push you forward and help you to get opportunities that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Camir, for spending this hour with us and sharing your wisdom and just giving us insight on things that we've probably never discussed before on our Mentorship Monday.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out our sponsors again. Nakana Solution, they're the distributors. What's going on? The distributors for sanitation technology and what's the word?
Electronics.
Electronics.
You're old, man. You're old,
I'm getting old after. And electronics. That's why I write everything down these days.
They get old, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. I loved every minute of it too. A great conversation. I love this. And we're back. Season 2 is back.
Yeah, so I guess in this new season we'll be every first Monday of the month we'll have one of these mentorship Mondays. But yeah, I encourage people to stay plugged in to Minds Jamaica, especially, you know, one of the things once we launch the new platform, we have a new platform coming, and a few changes that may come along with it. I'll spoil the surprise. One of the ways is that I don't know, you know, if you're on this call and you've engaged Minds Jamaica before, you know, normally to get plugged into Minds, there's like a premium membership, and there's a membership fee. A lot of times we get sponsors to cover that fee for students if we can, but with the new platform, it's going to be, we're starting it out completely open, so there will be no premium membership fees or anything like that. You can just sign up and start getting plugged in. So that's one of the more exciting changes that's going to be coming from Minds of Jamaica. So I'm super excited about that, and a few other new stuff is on the way as well. So I think you know, in closing, I just like to encourage people to stay plugged in, communicate with Minds, maintain that connection, because I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize how valuable it is to maintain that connection. Because then even myself, you know, I can see mentees that are really taking advantage of Minds Jamaica, really asking good questions and so on, and they stick in my head as well. And that's kind of one of the things when it comes to networking and maintaining connection, that you don't really know all the things you'll receive out of those connections. So we have 3 students right now who are being recruited for a full scholarship at a university in the US. And that's mainly because that university reached out to me and Minds of Jamaica. They saw what we were doing, and they're like, hey, we'd love to, you know, offer or at least offer the chance for some of your students to apply to this full scholarship. Because there are a few students who I've seen interact on the platform constantly, and they're taking advantage of the platform, they're present on mine. So who am I going to suggest? You know, I don't know those students' grades or anything. I just see how they've been engaging and so on. So because they've stood out in that way, they're who I recommended to that institution. So right. So that's an example of how you can receive, you know, benefits of mentorship and engaging people and meeting people and maintaining connections. That's how it works. Like, you know, I'm sure going into Minds Jamaica, we don't promote, we don't claim that we're going to place you into any university abroad or anything like that. It's just something that happens because you're now part of this community, right? And I think that's something that gets lost on people at times, that they want to always see the value up front. They want to see, because that's one thing with mentorship we're trying to show. Because I think people, if I said, and I've seen this happen even on Minds Jamaica, if I say, hey, sign up, we have all these mentors, come and get their questions asked, we get people sign up and so on. But if I go up and say, hey, here is this specific class we're going to sponsor, this specific scholarship and so on, quick and on it, because you know, it's more tangible benefit, right? I think a lot of people think about mentorship and be like, they go answer a few questions, but what a big deal. Like, me have homework tomorrow or so on. And stuff like that is what I'm trying to, as best as I can, really expose students to. It's not about that immediate tangible benefit. It's what maintaining that connection, maintaining that network eventually, maybe a year from now, going, will put something on your radar that's going to be huge, right? And that's happened for me in so many ways, right? Where, somebody I met a writer at a conference, and he's a writer. I'm not in writing or anything like that. I think somebody who is merely focused on what can this person do for me might not even care to maintain that relationship with that person. Because a writer, what them good for me? I'm not in that space, whatever. But over time you learn to really appreciate everybody's unique talents and their unique story, and you maintain a connection. And then a year later, that is the same person. He wrote an article on somebody who started a company. He connected me to that person, and now I have somebody who is super valuable, somebody else in my network who is super valuable and helping me and teaching me a ton of stuff. And then that writer is now writing stuff for me, for Minds of Jamaica, that is going to come out in the coming weeks. And that's how it works. That connection to that writer has become super valuable and super helpful to me. But if I took the approach where, he's a writer, why should I care? That's not my area. Then I would have I would have precluded myself from all this. And so that's the beauty of networking and maintaining connections with people. Not that you only do it for what you're going to get, but it is a huge benefit when you have a strong network that you're eventually going to benefit in some way, shape, or form. So I talk a lot. I have been long-winded, I know. I am done there, so and like that.
Right. Well, thank you for this conversation, and thank you for starting off our season 2 strong. Yes. We'll be back. We're on the first Monday of every month, so we'll be back next month. And stay tuned, guys. We have a lot of things coming, and we're so excited to be sharing everything with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for everybody who joined.
We're also posting this video on our YouTube channel, the Minds of Jamaica YouTube channel. Yeah, Minds of Jamaica YouTube channel. So go ahead and check it out. Share it with a friend, share it with your family members, share it with persons who you think might need to sign up for the Minds of platform. Thank you, Cam.
All right. Later, guys.
Bye.